In our last video, we used JavaScript and HTML divs in order to create a checkerboard pattern. Okay, and so let's just go ahead and take a look at that. All right, there it is. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of creating a very predictable repeating sequence like this, we're going to just sort of create some random patterns. Okay, so we're going to introduce the random function. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of this stuff about flags. This flag variable was set to flip the color from black to red, so we're going to get rid of all of that. Okay, and all right, and then I'll just go ahead and put this color back here. All right, so now because we're not messing with the color at all, the color is just going to be red for all the squares. So if we were to go ahead and save this and refresh the page, we would see, sure enough, that all the colors are red. You can see that we've got that black border turned on for each square. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to introduce the concept of the random. Okay, so I'm going to create a new variable here. I'll just call it rand, and it's math.random. All right. Now what math.random does is it returns a number, okay, a floating point, like a decimal, between 0 and 1. So this could return 0.3, could return 0.6, and it has a lot of decimals. It could return, probably when I run this, it'll return something like 0.1765398275. Okay, so it returns again, a number between 0 and 1, but it has a lot of decimal places. Okay, so what we'll do is now we will say, all right, now that we have this variable that's assigned to this random value, we can say if rand is less than 0.5. Remember, rand is going to be between 0 and 1. Okay, it's never going to be anything but between 0 and 1. So if it's less than 0.5, okay, let's go ahead and make the color red. Okay, otherwise, let's make the color black. Okay, and so in other words, we should have roughly half the squares be red and the other half should be black, because again, if the number is between 0 and 1, then about half of the number should be between 0.5, which is 1/2, and the other should be above that. Okay, and so if we were to save and refresh this, okay, all right, see how we have a bunch of squares that are black and a bunch of squares that are red? And if we refresh this page again, look, you'll see that it changes, okay? All right, and I don't know, maybe you can tell by looking at that. Let's count and see how many of the squares are black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Okay, so there's 64 squares on a checkerboard, 33 of them, so just slightly over half are black and the other are red. Okay, and the number is going to vary slightly each time you go through this, but see, I can refresh this and I just keep getting a slightly different pattern. Okay, now I could adjust my value here from 0.5. Let's say I change this to 0.1. Okay, well, if I look at all of the numbers between 0 and 1, okay, 90% of them are higher than 0.1, okay? So in other words, what this is going to do is it's going to make a very, very small number of squares red and a very, very large number of them, roughly 90% of them, black, okay? And so you will see that when I refresh this, sure enough, most of the squares are black and a very, very small number are red, okay? Each time I refresh this, you'll see that that's the case. Ooh, look, in this one, only one of them ended up red. Okay, so I can do that. All right, so that's so one of the things that random numbers are used for is to sort of do things like this. All right, now I want to point out something about colors, okay? Oh, actually, before I point out something about colors, let me just point out one thing. We could make this loop a little bit larger and introduce a third color. So like maybe we'll say if it's less than 0.3333, we'll make it red. Else if rand is less than 0.66666, okay, then we will make the color black. Otherwise, we will make the color, maybe we'll make it white. Okay? So in other words, if it's less than 1/3, then it's red. If it's between 1/3 and 2/3, then we'll make it black. And if it's greater than 2/3, then we'll make it white. Okay? So if I were to refresh this, okay, you'll see that now I have some squares that are white, some that are black, some that are red, and each time I refresh it, I get a slightly different pattern. And I didn't have to make it white. I could have used any color. I could have said, let's go ahead and make this blue. Okay, and then you have some blue squares. Okay, so you have a nice interesting little pattern going on there. Okay, all right, so now I want to talk briefly about color. Okay, so far in all of these videos, we have been using the name of the color like red, black, blue, okay? Well, what if I want really, really fine control? You know, what if I want like a tannish color or a mauve? Like, will tan or mauve work as color names? Okay? There is a way that you can very, very precisely control the exact color that you want. Okay, and JavaScript has this function called RGB, all right? RGB, like this. The R stands for red, the G stands for green, and the B stands for blue, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out here to the internet, and I'm gonna just type in RGB color picker, okay? And Google has this color picker thing built in, all right? So you see that we're here in this green, and you'll see that down here, all right, I can just select a different color, okay? And you'll see that this is the color that I've selected, this kind of dark green color, and you'll see that it has an RGB value. There's all these other types of different ways of representing color, but here we're just talking about RGB. There's an RGB value of 43, 107, 60, okay? So what this means is that the red component of this color is 43. And by the way, this scale goes from 0 to 255. Okay? So there's a red component of 43, a green component of 107, and a blue component of 60. And if I mix all of that together, then I get this nice green color. Okay? And so one of the things that we can do here is rather than use the colors with this red, black, and blue, okay, is I can actually say color is equal to, and I can do RGB, and I can pass in numbers, okay? So I can say I'm gonna have the color, so if I want this color to be red, I'm gonna make the red component maximum, and I'm gonna make the other components, green and blue, 0, okay? So that should give me a nice red color, all right? If I want black, okay, black is the absence of color, so I'm going to make all of these 0. Okay, and if I want blue, I'm going to make blue, let's see, red will be 0, green will be 0, blue will be 255. Okay, and so if I were to save that, okay, and go back to here, okay, then you'll see I have basically the same thing because I chose all the same colors, all right? But now let's say that I want to use this nice green color that I picked, okay? So this is 43, 107, 60. Okay, so I can go in here and I'll just change my blue color here to that green color. So we just 43, 107, and 60. Okay. And you will see that, oh, oops, go back here. Now I have that green color, okay, in there. Okay, and so I can use basically any any color that I want with very, very precise results. So let me go back to my color picker here. Maybe let's say we wanted like a nice purple in there. Okay, so let me go over here to the purple section. Here's a nice purple here. This one is 149, 66, 245. So let's go ahead and stick that one in. We'll stick that in here for our black. So 149. What was it? It was 149, 66, 245. Okay. And we'll see that if we go back here and refresh, now we have that nice purple color. Okay. And so in our next video, what we're going to do is rather than use this if rand less than, we're actually going to use the random number to generate random values here in RGB to get some interesting results. Okay, so that will be in the next video. But you can see that we can do all kinds of interesting things with color using this RGB function.